This is the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Hello, John Solberg here, your host for the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. Today's show is being brought to you by The Butcher Shop, purveyors of highly sought-after 100% Australian non-crossbred Wylara 9+ briskets, and as always, handpicked just for you. The Butcher Shop has been retailing the finest meats for the past 15 years. Every week, they're shipping out competition-quality meats to many of the biggest teams in the competition scene across the nation. Simply put, teams who use The Butcher Shop win, and they win often. The Butcher Shop is shipping some of the finest prime, dry-age Australian Wagyu and Japanese Wagyu steaks to people just like you and me who aspire to be the kings and queens of the cul-de-sac. The Butcher Shop always has Berkshire, Compart Duroc, Allegiance Duroc, and Prairie Fresh all-natural pork in stock. And again, it's always going to be handpicked just for you. Now you might be saying, John, all this sounds great, but what about the exotic stuff? Well, rest easy knowing the Butcher Shop can get you your next elk steak or camel roast. They're going to ship it out promptly. Yes, they got camel, and they're going to handpick the camel just for you. Let's review. The best competition briskets, check. The best pork selection, check. Giving you better overall options to cook at home, check. So give the Butcher Shop a call today, 850-458-8782. That's 850-458-8782. Be sure you mention the Barbecue Central show for 10% off your entire order each and every time you call. You can also get a hold of them on their Facebook page, facebook.com/thebutchershop, shop spelled SHOPPE. The Butcher Shop, home of the 100% Australian non-crossbred Wylara 9+ briskets. And in today's episode, we're going to jump back to March of 2010. Greg's going to catch up with Steve Forman, who was venturing out into the restaurant game. I like restaurant talk. Let's do it.
All right, let's go to the hotline. Joining me now on the show is the owner of Cow N Sow to Wow BBQ restaurant, competition barbecue team and catering business. It's Steve Forman joining us. Steve, how are you tonight, buddy?
I am doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing very well, Steve. Thanks for taking the time out to join me and talk about this whole barbecue restaurant business. You're out there in Topeka, Kansas. And kind of,
I wanted to let you know,
Okay.
It's Google, Kansas in the month of March.
Google, Kansas.
Yes, well, it's a big thing. It's a big publicity stunt. We're trying here in Topeka, in Google, to get Google fiber optic high-speed internet here. So for the next month, we live in the city of Google, Kansas.
Correction made. Steve Forman, Google, Kansas. Now, I learned about your story through reading the local paper out there in Google. And, certainly everybody thinks about, once they get into the barbecue business that, oh, my stuff is really good and people encourage you to open up a restaurant. I mean, that wasn't really necessarily the case for you. You kind of had a bit of a job telling you to go pound salt, and all of a sudden you're faced with some decisions to make. So go ahead and kind of bring us up to speed on that whole situation.
Well, I was over 25 years in radio, as terrestrial radio, old-fashioned radio, doing the kind of stuff that you're doing, only in a news talk aspect. I've been everything from a country DJ to a news director to a talk show host to a producer, program director. And with the downsizing in the radio industry, I watched other people walk out the door. I had to walk some of my employees out the door, and eventually it became my turn in March of last year. So I played around with a little internet radio for a while we were catering from the home. And then we were kind of forced into a decision because one day the Kansas Department of Agriculture, who handles food safety in the state, knocked on my door and said, if you're catering from home, you can't do it. You got to find a place.
Right.
And so that kind of forced us to make a decision.
And it wasn't internet radio.
What's that? It wasn't internet radio.
Right,
no.
right.
As you know, nobody's getting rich off of internet radio yet.
I hate to break the news to you, Steve.
What's that?
I said I hate to break the news to you. You're right. Nobody's getting rich off of internet radio.
Oh, I was going to say, let me in on your deal. Then.
Exactly.
So we went around. We looked at some places. As you know, the economy is down. We looked at a place where the rent was just through the roof, but it had been empty for almost 2 years. The location that we're at, we're about 2 blocks off of Interstate 70, and we decided to make a lowball offer on the rent. And we basically put it in God's hands and said, "Okay, God, if you want us to do this, then let him take this ridiculous amount of rent." And he did. And we're in this with no money in the bank, and no plan B. So it's just got to work. And so we've been working it. Of course, we opened in probably the worst time of year for a barbecue restaurant to open, the middle of November. And we did okay for the first month, and then winter really, really hit. And we had a tremendous blizzard Christmas Eve. We got into a cold snap where we didn't get out of single digits for about 2 weeks. And we were beginning to wonder, how long we were going to be able to hang in there. But thank God the weather's been warmer the last week or so, and people are starting to come in again. And I'm feeling a lot better about things than I would have if we were doing this interview about 2 weeks ago.
There you go. We're talking with Steve Forman, owner of Cow N Sow, a Wow BBQ restaurant out there in Google, Kansas. And I guess, your circumstance is a little bit different, but for people that are looking to actually get into the barbecue restaurant business, you have 2 ways to go about it. You could look at opening up some type of a franchise shop, like when I had talked with Mike Fernandez of Moe's Barbecue, or you do it like you do. You go out and you buy a place and you kind of do it all yourself. Did you ever entertain the option of franchising, or was it always, we're just going to do it ourselves and buy our own, forget the franchise stuff?
Well, with franchise, you got to do things the way the franchise owner wants you to do them. I mean, there are standards. If you're a Burger King, for example, you're not going to fry your burgers no matter what. I mean, you got to do it their way. And we have developed over the past 5 years of doing competitions and playing. We've developed our own rub. We've created our own sauce. We have our own kind of techniques and signature items, that if we were going to succeed at this, we really had to do what we do and not what somebody else wanted to teach us to do. And, we're learning. Not everything we do is a humongous success, but people seem to like what we're doing. We have a bean recipe that we've got some elderly gentlemen from the apartment complexes around the store that come in just to buy the beans. So I guess we're doing something right there. And, whatever it is, it's going to be my wife and my wife has developed the rub and the sauce recipe, and she does most of the prep. I'm kind of the fireman, and we have just developed such a team effort between the two of us that I don't know that we could go and do it working for, essentially for somebody else and doing it their way.
Aside from the barbecue catering and the competition stuff, did you have any prior food industry experience?
My wife and I both have at times. Between radio jobs, I've done some fast food management and also managed a cafeteria in a beef packing plant in Dodge City, Kansas, many, many moons ago. My wife has managed pizza restaurants and actually resigned a job as an assistant manager at a Subway restaurant in order for us to go full time. So we've had the food experience, we've had business experience. It was just a matter of making the commitment to take the risks to do it for ourselves and go for it. And I don't regret it. It's been a lot of fun.
We're talking with Steve Forman, owner of Cow N Sow to Wow BBQ restaurant out there in Topeka / Google, Kansas. So, Steve, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you've faced since you've opened?
I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to head over to the bbqcentralshow.com and I'm going to listen to the rest of the show. While I'm over there, I'm going to hit Facebook and I'm going to go check out The Butcher Shop at their Facebook page, facebook.com/The Butcher Shop, shop being spelled SHOPPE. I might order me some Wylara 9+ brisket and I'm going to mention the Barbecue Central show and they're going to give me 10% off, and that's real cash. You should try that. Let me know how it works for you. Until next time on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg. I can't wait to talk to you again soon.